What up, everyone? An incident earlier this month at the West Edmonton Mall has caused new debate over the refugee issue here in Canada. Now, it's unfortunate, the circumstances. It is extremely unfortunate, as it is truly a heinous situation. A 39-year-old man, and also father of 6, has been charged with 6 counts of sexual assault and 6 counts of sexual interference. This stemmed from complaints police got from girls at the waterpark who are under 16 years old. So this is assault on children, on minors. One of the most heinous crimes imaginable. The lowest of the, could be very well the lowest of the low. We don't have words to describe just how heinous this is, how evil, how bad, how repulsive this behavior is. And there truly is very little that could be considered worse, if anything at all. Now, the individual is a Syrian refugee. The man charged is a Syrian refugee. And because of this, people have now tried to take this and turn it into a political message. Something I find frustrating, but to a much lesser extent. When incidents like this end up being trumpeted for political gains, the incident itself, the people involved, the victims, end up essentially a footnote. And that's what annoys me so much. If you look at comment sections and social media, you have tons of people now saying, this is what happens when you let the refugees in. Of course, yet again, he speaks for everybody. Why are we letting them in? Blah, blah, blah. Now, there are real arguments you could make to be against letting in refugees. I understand that. You could point to the economy and how we don't necessarily have the jobs to support an influx of refugees, an influx of people coming into Canada. Our unemployment, a lot of us ourselves are unemployed. We get that. I understand that. That's a very valid argument. But when you paint them all to be what this guy is accused of being, that's where I find it troubling. Now, I can understand your outrage. This is a heinous crime to be charged with. An incredibly heinous crime to be charged with. Again, I struggle to find words to actually describe how bad this is. But the idea to paint everybody else in that group the same way, I have trouble with that. This individual, if the charges stick after due process, I truly feel if the charges stick after due process, he needs to face serious consequences. And since we let him into our country throughout the goodness of our hearts to help him and his family escape whatever they were fleeing from back home, repays us this way, those should be some very steep consequences. Incredibly steep. But it should be levied on him alone. Not the rest of the Syrian refugee community. Not the rest of the overall refugee community. Just the individual who actually, after due process, is guilty of the crime. And this is what's so frustrating. Everything has to end up being political. Every stripe in politics is guilty of this, and I am sick and tired of it. We need to start coming together so we can actually have common sense policies in place. So if we need to have a better vetting process, we can actually come up with a vetting process that actually makes sense. A vetting process that's actually fair. A vetting process where we will understand people will slip through the cracks. A bad apple will get in. The only difference is, when we find out who the bad apple is, we got to deal with it. And deal with it fairly. But since everything has to be political, I highly doubt it'll happen. And what's going to end up happening is people are going to forget about this story and forget about victims, and it'll just be a footnote in history eventually. And it's the unfortunate part. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching this video. If you agree, disagree, or just want to continue the conversation, leave a comment. Consider subscribing. Overall, thank you for watching. Have a good day.